Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Christy of Christy in the City. Today we are talking about something super fun and light, also known as how to be safe when traveling to Chicago or a big city in general. So yeah, super cute topic today. I would say that this video is definitely for people who are coming to Chicago for the first or second time, don't know much about the city, or for people who just don't know very much about traveling to big cities in general and just want a little refresher on how to stay safe in an urban setting. So if you are a well-versed traveler, this video probably isn't for you, but feel free to stay and watch. I would love for you to stay. I don't want to drag this out too much, so I want to go ahead and just get right into it. If you guys have any good safety tips, you can leave them below in the comments. Of course, the more knowledge we have, the better. Please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it if you did, and I would love to have you here watching my videos, obviously. That's why I'm making them. Okay, I digress. Let's jump into the safety tips. I also want to preface this video by saying Chicago is an incredible city, not only to live in, but to visit. I mean, it is truly one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen, and I'm not biased because I live here. It is just truly an awesome city. I don't want these safety tips to deter you from coming here. This is kind of just general knowledge you need to have in order to travel to a city, things you should know to be safe there. Chicago gets a really bad rap, but it is truly the most incredible city, and you know, for the most part, you're gonna have a totally hassle-free visit here, but these are just things that you need to keep in mind. So obviously some of these are gonna be very Chicago specific. Some are just gonna be for cities in general. And so this first one is safety on public transportation. So our public transportation system is called the CTA, Chicago Transit Authority, and that includes the trains and the buses. The trains are called the L here in Chicago. And there are definitely some things to know when using the L. So the L obviously is going to have a wide mix of people, a lot of people riding it at different times of the day. Actually in 2020, even though the amount of people riding majorly decreased because of the pandemic, violent crime on the CTA actually more than doubled in 2020 from 2019, which is alarming. But again, not to scare you, there's just some things you need to know. My number one tip for traveling to big cities in general, and this is just kind of my daily life tip too, is to just be aware of your surroundings at all times. I mean, I've been watching Law & Order SVU since I was 13 years old, so your girl is already paranoid as hell. But when traveling in a city, I'm making sure my head is on a swivel and I'm aware of my surroundings at all times. I just think that that's imperative when you're traveling. With that in mind, I wouldn't necessarily recommend riding the L late at night if you are drunk. Barish has had friends who have gotten mugged while intoxicated late at night at public transportation, so I would definitely suggest getting an Uber or a Lyft back to where you're staying. Again, be safe with that too, especially if you're a girl. Trust no one. But I would say navigating the L if you're a tourist while intoxicated, that might just be asking for trouble. So I'd probably just take an Uber or a Lyft. When you're out in the city and riding public transportation, if you're carrying a bag, I would definitely try to have a bag that has a zipper close, not kind of an open tote bag. I would definitely try to keep your important things in a bag that zips. And while riding the L, I mean, obviously don't get your wallet out and flash your cash around. Do not do that. But I would also keep your phone in your bag. I know that it's like really tempting to want to just like, especially if you're going quite a few stops, it's really tempting to get your phone out and scroll while you're sitting there. But people are watching you and iPhones get stolen all of the time on the L. It is just super easy for people to literally wait until they're coming up on the stop, take your phone from you and run off of the train. It happens all the time. I've literally seen it happen. So I would just be really aware of that, about getting your phone out when you're on the L. Again, I think the biggest thing with the L is just being aware of your surroundings at all times. If you're on the platform waiting for your train and you're getting bad vibes from someone, trust that gut instinct. If you see people starting to like tussle, kind of like get into a fight, leave the situation immediately. There have been so many instances that I've read about in the news where people will jump somebody on a train platform, or people will start exchanging words and it escalates to a violent scene. So just make sure you're keeping your eyes on people around you so that you can remove yourself if need be. The second thing to be aware of in big cities, but also in Chicago right now, is carjacking. Now, this might not apply to you if you're not driving in the city, but if you are driving from like a neighboring area or doing a road trip, you're parking your car in the city, driving in the city, carjacking is something that you really need to be aware of. God, this is gonna sound like so terrifying, nobody's gonna wanna come here. It's fine, I promise. In the first 2 months of 2021, I think it was January 1st to March 2nd or 3rd, there were over 350 carjackings. Just let that number sink in. And again, in 2020 compared to 2019, the amount of carjackings more than doubled. What is happening? So here are some things I recommend to try to fend that off, and just to kind of keep yourself in a safer situation with that is keep your windows rolled up and your doors locked at all times. The second you get in your car, lock your doors. We should all be doing that anyway, but especially here, just do that. Again, what's the theme of city travel? Be aware of your surroundings. If you're parking your car, park in a well-lit and well-populated area. This next tip, just keep this in mind for your whole life. Even if you're parked at the grocery store in your hometown, just keep this in mind. Do not sit and dilly-dally in your car once you've parked. I know it is so tempting, once you've parked, to grab your phone and do a quick check on your phone, but do not do that. As soon as you've parked, keep your phone away, get out of your car, lock your car, and walk with purpose towards your destination. Do not dilly-dally. We do not dilly-dally. The last thing I would recommend is at a red light, make sure you leave enough space between you and the car in front of you. I think they recommend that you should be able to see the back tires of the car in front of you. Now, this sounds crazy paranoid. I know, I'm starting to sound crazy, but this is because if someone was to carjack you, you'd have ample space to get around the car in front of you to drive away. Not that I'm recommending that that's your go-to move. If it was me and somebody had a gun and they were give me your car, I would be please take this Toyota Yaris off of my hands immediately. I do not need to fight you for it. Moving on to point number 3, we obviously cannot talk about safety in Chicago without addressing the neighborhood situation. I actually found a map of all of the homicides in Chicago in 2020, which I will put up here somewhere. I really want to focus on the facts of this because I feel like people tend to really run with the idea that violent crime in Chicago only happens in certain neighborhoods, and that is absolutely not the case. Again, not trying to scare you, but I do want to stick to the facts on this. So as you can see on the map, wherever it is, violent crime happens in almost every single neighborhood. And obviously non-violent crime absolutely happens in every single neighborhood. As we can see on the map, the highest amount of murders tend to happen in West Side and South Side neighborhoods. Now, we're not going to jump into the long history of how all of this situation came to be. That is truly for a very in-depth conversation at another time. I think it is important to note that based on this map, based on the facts, this is where most of the murders have occurred. I do say that to say that it's not like those things only happen in those areas. Crime happens all over the city. It happens in every neighborhood. It happens in the richest neighborhood and the poorest neighborhood. So you cannot walk around in a neighborhood that you've deemed safe and just kind of let yourself go there. You still need to be aware of your surroundings. You still need to be safe in an urban setting. And I also just want to say that these neighborhoods where they do have higher crime and they have a lot of gang activity, those neighborhoods are still worth our attention. They're still worth us spending money there. There's still people who own businesses there. So, I obviously am going to let you do what you want with all this information, but I think it's just important to keep in mind that there are people who live in these neighborhoods who are just like you and me, and they're just doing their best to get by, and they're, communities that definitely need our support. So, with that in mind, obviously there are areas in Chicago that I've gone through that I have felt unsafe, but I also have gone to plenty of neighborhoods on this map that have a high amount of murders, and I've supported local business there. I've gone to restaurants. I've really enjoyed myself, love the people there. So I don't know, do with that information what you will. So number 4 on the list is self-defense. I just literally put self-defense. What is that, Christy? And by that I just mean carry pepper spray if you can. Obviously you can't have pepper spray on a plane, and also a lot of places, if you're going to a club, not that anybody's going to a club anytime soon, but they won't let you take that in there. So just kind of check where you're allowed to take that. I don't know if they let you take pepper spray into the museums, for example, but usually when I'm walking around the city, I keep pepper spray on my keychain. So that's just something that you could have on you that would kind of give you a little bit more confidence, especially at night. Sorry, there's a fuzz. The next safety tip on my list that is for any city, but definitely for Chicago, is avoiding the alleys. So Chicago has a ton of alleys, like literally every single street has an alley, and it might be tempting to cut through them, but just don't do it. I mean, in daylight you might be okay, but just there's like no foot traffic, so just don't cut through the alleys. It might be tempting to do that, but I just wouldn't, especially at night. Oh my gosh, I don't know. There are no eyes on you. You're probably gonna be alone walking through there, so I would just avoid it. This next one is to not open your wallet on the street. Again, this seems like a no-brainer, but if you are on the street and let's say you see a homeless person that you would like to give some money to, if you sit there and open your wallet and flash your cash, somebody can literally run by and grab that and go. And that, again, might seem very like, duh, Christy, like we all know that. But I think that a lot of us do get in the moment, and we get in the moment of maybe having a conversation with someone, and we're not thinking about the fact that somebody 10 steps away is watching our every move. And that's just the facts of life. Like, it happens to all of us at different points. So just something to keep in mind, do not open your wallet on the street. I would just keep a little bit of cash maybe in like a little pocket. Like if you're wearing something like this, you have a little pocket here, maybe keep a little cash there if you want to get food from like a street vendor, or if you want to have like easy access to a little bit of cash. I would just keep a little bit in a separate place and work with that instead of like bringing out your wallet and being like, big money over here. My final tip is to not keep your cash in just one place on you. Like if you're carrying a purse, don't keep your cash just in your little wallet. I would find different ways to keep cash on you, because you definitely should have cash on you when you're traveling, whether that's kind of having a little pocket here or having one of those like secret little travel belt things under you where you can keep some cash, and even like putting it in different places in your purse, whether that's like inside of your compact mirror or a little in your makeup bag or whatever you carry with you. Just kind of spread it out so it's not just in your wallet, so if God forbid something happens to your wallet, they don't have all your cash. With that in mind, if you're traveling here internationally, definitely keep your passport in a safe place at your hotel or Airbnb. Try to make it secure as possible, whether that's using a safe at the hotel or sorting something out at the Airbnb, because I know that can be hard, but you definitely don't want to keep your passport on you just in case something does happen to your bag. Overall, for Chicago, it's just like any other big city. Just be aware of your surroundings at all times. Be especially cognizant at night. If you're by yourself, I would stick to well-populated areas. And even if you're with other people, just, be aware of your surroundings. Be on the lookout for anything weird, anything that kind of gives you a weird feeling in your gut. Trust that gut feeling. I think that's just the biggest takeaway from this, is you just need to be aware of your surroundings. Keep your head on a swivel, Spend my day-to-day life like that. I don't know if you guys do too, but again, I really hope that this video is helpful for people who maybe have not done a lot of big city traveling or spent a lot of time in a big city. I am sure that I missed some safety tips. So if you guys have any good ones that people should know, please leave them in the comments below. I really hope that this video didn't scare anybody off from coming to Chicago. Chicago is truly the most beautiful city. There's so many fun things to do. The people here are so wonderful. And you will have the time of your life when you come. I can promise you that. You're gonna have a blast. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.